Welcome to this virtual candidates forum for North County voters, sponsored by MooVoter and the Tillamook County Pioneer. MooVoter is a nonpartisan Facebook group with nearly 1,000 members that strives to educate voters on issues that matter to them. And the Tillamook County Pioneer is an online newspaper with 18,000 subscribers. My name is Sayde Walker, for those of you who don't know me, and I will be moderating the forum tonight. Tonight, we're hearing from candidates and issues that will be on the ballot for North Tillamook County voters, including the Neah-Kah-Nie School District number 56, which includes Garibaldi Grade School, Nehalem Elementary School, and the Neah-Kah-Nie High School. We'll also be hearing from candidates for the North County Recreation District and the Nehalem Bay Health District. And we'll hear from some of the Tillamook County Transportation District candidates and Tillamook Bay Community College Board of Education candidates. All North County candidates running in a contested race, as well as those running for the Transportation District and the college, were invited to this forum tonight, and we understand that not everyone could make it. So thank you for those of you who are with us tonight. Tonight's forum is going to be divided into segments, starting with the Neah-Kah-Nie School Board. And for each segment, the candidates will have 90 seconds to introduce themselves. If a candidate's opponent is not here, they'll have an additional 60 seconds at introductions. We have a variety of questions prepared for the candidates, and we will not be asking all candidates the exact same questions. Instead, questions will be presented in races, and each candidate running in that race will be asked to answer the same question. After the second candidate has had an opportunity to answer, the first candidate will be offered 30 seconds to clarify their answer, or if they have anything they'd like to add. As the moderator, I may have a follow-up question or a clarifying question after both candidates have given their answers. I will be drawing the questions and determining who will answer first by a lottery system. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to answer, but certainly feel free to give your answer in less time if you're comfortable doing that. You don't have to take up the full 60 seconds to answer. We will let you know at the 15-second mark when your time is almost up. So that is what our timekeeper was demonstrating earlier. There will be a green screen, a green card in front of the timekeeper screen when it's time to start talking, and then that will switch to yellow. So there's the green, then it will switch to yellow at your 15-second mark, and then it will go to red. If you go significantly over your time, we will politely mute your mic and move on to the next question. I know this can be frustrating, but we have a lot to get through, and we'll do our best to honor the questions from the community and be respectful of everyone's time. Our community members are welcome to ask questions in the chat function, and we'll do our best to get to those at the end of each segment as we have time. Or we will also take some questions at the end, again, as time allows, because our intent tonight is not to exceed 2 hours, but also to ensure that we get to hear from the candidates on issues that matter to them. Okay, so let's get started by meeting the candidates for Neah-Kah-Nie District number 56. First off, we have Marisa. I said your first name correctly, but I'm probably going to butcher your last name. Marisa Bayouth-Real.
You nailed it.
Marisa is running for the Zone 2 Director position against Landon Meyer. Landon did not respond to the invitation to attend tonight. We also have Katie Wilkerson, who is running for the Zone 6 Director position. She's running against Michele Aeder. Heidi Luquette is here. She is running for the Zone 7 Director position. Heidi was running against 3 opponents. However, 2 of them, Tim Borman and Chris Kruby, have suspended their campaigns. Chris Kruby has asked his voters to support Heidi, and Tim Borman has asked voters to support Joseph Carr. Mr. Carr sends his regrets that he couldn't be here this evening due to a prior engagement, but he hopes to see everyone at the next North County MooVoter Forum on the 13th. So like I said, each candidate will have 90 seconds to introduce themselves. However, since Heidi and Marisa do not have opponents present, they will be given some extra time at introductions, and they will not be engaging in a round of questions. They will, however, be able to answer questions from the audience again as time allows. So we will begin our introductions with Michele Aeder. Michele, go ahead and unmute yourself and.
Hey, hi, I'm Michele Aeder. It's been my pleasure to be a school bus driver for the students of Neah-Kah-Nie School District for 32 years. I got to know many of the kids in the district as well as their parents. Those students on the bus have taught me the value of being respectful and listening and responding thoughtfully when the need arises. These are the skills I bring to the school board. The kids also showed me just how diverse our population is being on the board allows me to respond to their needs in meaningful ways. I've been on the school board since 2016. During this time, I've enjoyed working with a collaborative board and have seen many improvements in our school district. Among those improvements are a new track, a school-based health center, our welding shop, and a remodeled construction trade shop. Additionally, we built 2 covered play structures where kids got to eat outside during the pandemic, which was helpful for their safety. We created 2 full-day preschools last year, both of them filled up with waiting lists. I'm proud of the Neah-Kah-Nie School District, including the staff and board. I'm especially proud of the students for their hard work and commitment, and appreciate the parents who often are the ones who are the most, provide the most influence on their children's success. Thank you for your support in the past, and I appreciate your vote this time too. Thank you.
Thank you, Michele. Opposing Michele is Katie Wilkerson. Katie, please introduce yourself.
My name is Katie Wilkerson. We moved to the Neah-Kah-Nie School District in 2014. Since then, I've had 4 children that have attended there. All 4 children are currently still in school, including one as a transition student and one who is a senior this year and graduating. So I almost didn't make it because we had a senior safe meeting tonight, but I'm here. I think that it's an amazing school district. I am so happy with our staff and our students. I know most of those students and most of the grades. I've been involved with coaching them and being at games and cheering them on. I almost never miss a high school game. Our baseball team has an amazing program this year. I got to watch a video of the girls' softball doubleheader today. And I think that our kids need somebody who's going to be involved and somebody who is a face that they know. And Michele has done a great job. And I have nothing to say bad about our board. I just, sometimes it's nice to have a new breath of fresh air. And I hope that I can be that. And I would appreciate everybody's support.
Thank you. Up next, we have Marisa Bayouth-Real. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi there. I'm running for Zone 2, and much like Katie stated, I think Landon's done a great job, and I support him and what he's done. I also have had a lot of community members and alumni ask me to run, so I thought I would. My family is a family of educators. I was adopted when I was 3 months old, and I got lucky that I got into a family of educators. Our Thanksgiving tables had kindergarten teachers to college professors. We had special ed teachers, we had secretaries, we had principals. There was even a middle school PE teacher. So like public education is deeply who I am. I have my master's in education from Lewis and Clark College, and I taught for 17 years at Neah-Kah-Nie, 10 at the high school and 7 at the middle school. When the pandemic came in 2020, it threw us all a curveball, and I became a full-time parent. Recently, I've become a part-time swim instructor at NCRD, and I adore teaching those elementary and preschool kids swimming lessons. It's great to be teaching again, but I still have a lot of extra time. So I hope that I can fill some of that time by being a volunteer and working on our board. One of the things that I've thought a lot about is, and that I bring kind of a background and expertise about, is how to address pandemic learning loss. Obviously, as a trained teacher, I understand curriculum and brain-based learning. And I think that in order to support our students as well as we can, that brain-based research shows that 2 of the best things we can do is engage them in physical activity and engage them in creative activities. So our district's doing a great time with physical activity. We've now got full-time PE teachers at each elementary school. I don't remember the exact minutes, but our kids are getting PE every day, K through 12. I think we could do a little better with supporting the arts. We have a phenomenal music department. Russell Zog just got to state with his band. And so I think if we listen to their vision of where we could head and support the staff, we could build a music trades program for our high school students. So that's my one specific idea that I wanted to share with you guys tonight. And since I won't get questions, that's all I have for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marisa. All right, and lastly, we have Heidi Luquette, and like Marisa, Heidi, you have 2.5 minutes to introduce yourself and talk about the district.
Excellent. So as she said, I'm Heidi Luquette. I have lived in this community for 20 years, 19 of which have been right here in this district. I too have two beautiful children. They both went through Garibaldi Grade School, Neah-Kah-Nie Middle School, the high school, and my youngest is a 6th grader at Neah-Kah-Nie Middle School. I have experience with the district. I have been on the budget committee for the last 2 years. Of course, I've been a volunteer in the classroom, and then I've also volunteered to support fundraising efforts for the Mudnick Foundation up out of Manzanita, which provides funding for extracurricular activities in the Neah-Kah-Nie district. I'm running for the school board because I believe that students, teachers, staff, and community deserve representation on the board of people who are going to keep the best interests of the district in mind, with students as our guide at all times. I've spent the past 12 years of my career in the field of education. I've worked in K-8 and I am currently in higher ed. When I was at K-8, I did serve as the interim head of school briefly for the Neah-Kah-Nie School District, or excuse me, for the Nesco-Win Valley School, which was quite a learning experience for me. I currently am the Vice President of Administration and College Relations at our local community college. And within that, I oversee our facilities and safety program, our IT program, our finance team, granting, marketing, and our legislative affairs. So prior to that, I actually worked for Tillamook County Creamery Association and spent many hours in their boardroom as their corporate communications manager. So I have experience in passing bonds, engaging the community, listening to parents and staff, as well as students, and being accountable for student learning outcomes. I have written over $1 million in grants and raised over $3 million for student activities and success in this county. And most importantly, I have a lot of experience in managing public funds. So I have a master's degree in communication and leadership studies from Gonzaga, go Bulldogs. And I believe we need to provide our students with the tools to learn and train to be successful in whatever it is that they want to do in life. We need to have safe learning, inclusive learning communities where we can provide high quality education and also offer students extracurricular activities that inspire and motivate them. And if elected, I will make sure that all voices are heard and that we stay focused on what is in the best interest of students. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm happy you're all here with us tonight, and I hope you'll consider voting for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. As we mentioned, there might be time for questions at the end of the segment or at the end of the forum for Heidi and Marisa. We do have some questions that will be directed to Katie and Michele. So Katie and Michele, make sure that your cameras are on and you're unmuted and you're ready to go. Katie, we're going to start with you first. The question is, beyond attending board meetings, how much time will you have to put towards research, understanding state and national policy, developing issues, and the long-term future needs of our students?
This was on MooVoter. This was on the Facebook page. I saw this question. So I don't have an exact amount of time that I will be able to donate. What I can say is that I love to do research. I enjoy it, and the safety and our kids going forward is what's most important. So, and I'm getting ready to lose a kid because he's graduating. So I'll have more time on my hands. So I can't give an exact number, but I do love to do research, and reading is one of my favorite things to do. So I will give all of the time that is needed to be able to research and do what we need to do. Sorry.
Great, thank you. Michele, would you like me to repeat the question?
No.
Go ahead then.
12.375 extra hours per month. No, I'm just kidding. It's, um, I will do whatever is required. There have been requests on the board. Our superintendent this last year has held community meetings, and I've been able to go to a couple of those, which were wonderful, getting to talk with community members that wanted to show up. I have spent time testifying before the Board of Forestry on behalf of our timber dollars that they seem to be wanting to take away from us, and I intend to continue to do that. So I do have more time on my hands than I have in times past. So that's fortunate as far as my ability to dedicate that to the school board. Thanks.
Thank you. Katie, do you have anything you'd like to add to your answer? No? So for our next question, we'll start with Michele. And the question is, what is your position on creating programs and incentives to enhance equity, inclusion, and diversity, especially as it applies to the LGBTQIA2S+ community and people of color?
We do have a committee of the school board, and I was instrumental in starting that committee. It's called the Inclusion Alliance, and it is dedicated to equity, inclusion, and diversity. We were actually one of the first school boards in the state to do so. So that was helpful. We do have, the district has an equity lens. It has an equity statement. We've developed a bias incident report form for use by the administrators, and also a checklist for them when they're filling out that form. This is all pretty new territory, and in doing research, it's not always easy to come up with solutions for the issues that are coming before us. So it's real important work, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Thanks for the question. Katie,
would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I think that Michele has been instrumental in the Inclusion Alliance, and whether voted into the board or not, I would actually really like to find out more about that and how I can help out with that. And I hope that if Michele is not reelected, that she will continue to help support that so that we can work together as a team for that. I think that issues arise, and hearing students out and listening to them and being open and aware of what's going on, and that there's a lot more to this world than what's just in our little county, and that the world is changing, and we have to change and adapt with that, and we have to be accepting, and we have to teach acceptance, and that starts with our school board and our staff and our parents. And so I think that the Inclusion Alliance probably does a lot with that, and I'm really excited to be a part of that and to help out and just go forward to get some more inclusion and more acceptance into our school district.
Great, thank you. Michele, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I do. I'd like to put in a plug for the Inclusion Alliance and say this is a public meeting, and it occurs the second Wednesday of the month. And if you want to look at our minutes from past meetings, they're all online on the school district website under school board, and then there's a tab for Inclusion Alliance, and then click on minutes and you can access all the minutes. I hope it's not too dry reading, but it's all there. Thank you.
Great. We are going to move on to a third question here, and Katie, it will be your turn to answer first this time. And the question is, do you have concerns about the safety of students as it applies to firearms? And if yes, what steps would you suggest to ensure our students and faculty remain safe?
I think that in the environment that we live in right now, any parent or community member would have to be insane not to be concerned about the safety of our students and firearms. I have been hearing numbers about there's a mass shooting every 18 hours, and that's just sickening, and it's so disheartening. I think that the school board and the staff and the faculty thus far have taken steps to ensure our kids' safety. I know that there's new keypads. I know that, they're keeping good track of our kids. I think that things have been done really well. Without going to the schools, which I have gone to the schools, and they know my voice and they know my name, so they let me in, but I don't know that there's much more that we could do to keep our kids safe. That I think that the kids' safety is definitely in the foremost of everybody's mind.
Thank you. Michele, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I don't need you to. Thank you. So on a few years back, I was able to be a part of the ALICE training, and I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to tell you what that acronym stands for. It was amazing to take part in that. I had been at the school many years ago to watch a senior presentation when we went into lockdown, and we all hid under desks quietly for a very long time. And I was in a room with windows that people could look in the room. It didn't feel safe at all. I didn't feel very hidden under the desk when you could see in any of the windows there. We didn't know what the threat was at the time. It turned out to be a knife, which is still a deadly weapon, and it resolved at that time with no incident. So the ALICE training was really about empowering people to take measures for their own safety, and identifying that person as soon as they came into the building so that everybody in the school would know who they needed to be looking for. It made me feel better about what we have for our schools. I know that since that training, we discovered some things. For instance, that there wasn't a way to lock the door to the room. And I'm going to finish quickly by saying they had another ALICE training this last Monday, the 1st. So that's ongoing. Thanks.
Katie, do you have anything you'd like to add to your answer?
I do actually. Just that I know that the middle school and high school have a wonderful staff as far as counselors and people to talk to I hate to say the word suss out, but to suss out a need. And they have a lot of ears on the ground to check in with the kids' mental health to make sure that it's not going to be one of them, or to at least try to prevent that as much as possible.
Thank you both for your time this evening and your thoughtful answers to these questions. And just as a reminder to our audience, Heidi and Marisa will have an opportunity to answer these questions at the May 13th forum when their opponents are present. So I believe we are going to move on to our next segment on the Nehalem Bay Health District. We have with us tonight Marc Johnson, who is running for Director Position 1. Marc's opponent, I should know how to say this last name. I'm so sorry. Tillamook, who is running for several positions tonight, was unable to attend due to a prior engagement. So for that reason, Marc will have 2.5 minutes to introduce himself, but will not be fielding any questions tonight. So Marc, if you're ready, go ahead and unmute yourself and turn on your camera.
Thank you very much, Sayde. I am Marc Johnson, the president of the Nehalem Bay Health District Board. I don't normally wear a baseball cap inside, but I had some dermatology work done on my forehead this week, and it's a little banged up. So I apologize for that, and probably should apologize to any Oregon State fans as well. I really appreciate the fact that the MooVoter group and the Tillamook Pioneer, Laura, put this together, and for you, Sayde, to be moderating tonight. I became involved in the health district, actually appointed by the county commissioners in 2017. And my interest in becoming involved was that I thought the district was an underutilized resource in the community, that it could be more than what it was. I thought the district should become what, in fact, I believe it has become, which is an advocate for better health care and better senior care in the community. That we should also be a collaborator with like-minded entities in the community, including the cities of Wheeler, Nehalem, and Manzanita, nonprofit groups like the Emergency Volunteer Corps, Tillamook, and some other organizations in the community that are kind of at the cutting edge of providing social services. The district created a strategic plan in 2019, first time that had ever been done by the health district. And the ballot measure that's on the ballot this month is a direct result of that strategic plan to try to upgrade healthcare and senior care in the community, and also address workforce housing, particularly as it relates to healthcare and other essential workers. My personal background is that I relocated to the north coast of Oregon with my wife about 10 years ago. My life work before that consisted of about 10 years as a journalist, mostly in the broadcast realm. I worked as a top aide to the longest serving governor in Idaho, Cecil Andrus, an Oregon native, by the way. One of the great experiences of my life, putting me right in the crosshairs, so to speak, of public policy development at the state level. And then for about 25 years, I was a partner and owner of a regional communications consulting firm. But as I said, I relocated to the coast about 10 years ago and fell in love with the community and wanted to become involved in a variety of different ways. Served on the library Friends board and chaired that board here in North County for a while. So my message, Sayde, is really pretty simple. I think we deserve and we need better health care and better senior care right here at home in the community. We need the opportunity to expand facilities so that we can create services that are not now existing in the community, such as dental care and specialty services of various kinds. I've been able to, thanks to the support of my colleagues on our board, contribute to and lead the effort to develop a plan to do just that. I very much appreciate the fact that so many people in the community have supported what we're trying to do, including the unanimous support of the communities I mentioned earlier, Wheeler, Nehalem, and Manzanita. I think that we share a vision that we can have better healthcare in the community that benefits seniors, families, and young people. And I very much appreciate the chance to be here tonight, and I appreciate an opportunity to ask for your vote. Thank you, Sayde.
Thank you for being here, Marc. We will get to hear from Marc a little bit later as well. So moving on to our next segment tonight on the North County Recreation District. With us, we have Constance, I should have asked ahead of time how you say your last name. Shimek?
Shimek, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Constance Shimek and Erin Laskey Wilson, who are both running for Director Position 2 at NCRD. Mary Gallagher, who is running for Director Position 1 against Tea Laviolette, was unable to make it tonight due to a prior engagement. With that, we will first hear introductions from Erin Laskey Wilson. Erin, you have 60 seconds to tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Erin Laskey Wilson. I'm running for NCRD Board Directors Position number 2. I chose to run because I think it's important for our board members to be fully invested in this community and have a deep understanding of our area's history. My family's lived in the Nehalem Valley for 4 generations. I grew up swimming at the pool. My kids participate in the swim program now and the NCRD sports programs. My husband and I are members of the fitness center. Our 3 kids go to New Discoveries, or did go to New Discoveries preschool. One is currently attending. I've been a New Discoveries preschool board member for 6 years now, holding various chairs, but the majority being fundraising. As a real estate broker, I would bring a perspective to the board based in fiscal responsibility and self-motivation. I understand the community nuances around the funding of the NCRD, and I'm sensitive to the investment made by our residents. My occupation also requires negotiation and problem-solving skills that are valuable to any board member. As a member of the board, I would like to strengthen our youth programs and offer more support for our working families. North County has an amazing tradition of looking out for one another, and it's what's built the NCRD. My goal is to continue that tradition with a focus on working families. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Erin. Constance, you're now welcome to introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, I'm Constance. I'm running for the Board of Directors for NCRD. Around me, people and organizations excel. We get things done. Now that's a bold statement, and you might say, show me the money. Since 2008, I have been involved as a board member, officer, and a driver of fundraising efforts with several organizations. We have successfully raised over $176,000, and $68,000 of that has been secured since January of this year. This is no accident. I live an intentional life. I don't hope so. I don't try to. I don't make excuses, and I don't let circumstances stop me. I get involved to make a difference, to empower. Around me, people and organizations excel. We excel. Curiously, since 2021, there's been very little fundraising or very little new money come into NCRD. Being dependent on community support, ongoing fundraising efforts, and effective grant writing, the board can't afford to do this. NCRD can't afford to do this. The board may not have been watching. With me on the board, we will be watching. The NCRD has had my heart since 2008. I am committed to it being loved, valued, and supported by everyone in our community, everyone. My name is Constance. I ask you to vote for me. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Constance. Our first question actually will go to you, Constance. And the question is, some community members have expressed that they feel unwelcome at the NCRD for a variety of reasons. What will you do to help people feel welcome?
Thank you. This was first brought to my attention when I was on the board of Friends of NCRD, and we tried to take it to NCRD and it got nowhere. I intend to have town halls every month where the community can actually come in and have a safe space to ask questions. And it starts from the board. We have to be willing to listen. We have to be willing to hear, and we need to be willing to make changes that are necessary. Again, I'm committed that everyone in our community loves NCRD as I do. You know, I've been involved since 2008, intimately involved since 2008. And I'm just not willing to have people not feel comfortable there. It has to change. Thank you.
Erin, would you please answer the same question?
Yeah, sure. I agree with Constance. It's very troubling that anyone would feel not welcome at the NCRD. I think that is a big problem if anybody is feeling that way. I think that working with the board and being better communicators with the community will solve this. Perhaps new newsletters or just maybe being better about getting the information from the board out to people would make them feel a little bit better. Again, this is a community recreational building. I have been, you know, my entire life going to this place. It's upsetting to hear that anyone would not feel welcome, and I would definitely want to listen to why they feel that way, and absolutely try to work to fix it.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question. If someone is not feeling welcome at NCRD, how, and Constance, you're proposing town halls to listen to the community and hear from the community, how would you ensure that those town halls are accessible and that people show up? Constance, you go ahead and answer first.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, I talked to somebody in the community about this, and he said it has to start from the board. The board has to be welcoming. The board has to be accepting. They have to be able to hear. It does, you know, I thought, okay, let's make a committee where people can go to, but then that takes it outside of NCRD. I really want to bring the mission statement up front and center. We have a great mission statement, and it is not displayed anywhere in NCRD. I don't even know if the board knows we have a mission statement, and it's a great mission statement. I think that if all employees, staff, and the board operate directly from that as a guiding document, it's going to make a difference, and it's going to filter out to the community.
Thank you. Erin, would you like to answer as well?
Sure. Again, I think that the board could just be better at communicating with the community. I think that the board has some really solid members currently that do have a good understanding of issues and mission statements and all of that kind of stuff. So I think that it takes word of mouth also. I think that it takes board members being out there talking to their community members and just letting them know this is not the case, and why don't you come to the meeting and tell us your issues, or I'll speak on your behalf. But I think that, you know, we're coming out of a COVID lockdown where we were all very separated and all very shut off from each other. So I think that we just have to kind of rebuild those bridges and get back to actually talking to one another, and feeling more comfortable about expressing what is bothering us. But yeah, the NCRD is such an awesome place. I don't want anyone to feel like they don't belong there ever.
Thank you, Erin. Our next question, we're actually going to start with you. And the question is, the NCRD has continually operated on a taxpayer levy and now has taken on the debt of a nearly $10 million bond with plans to seek additional funding. Do you see a time when NCRD can be a self-sustaining entity based on its programs and offerings?
You know, I would be really interested to look at what that would look like. I know that they do have a lot of self-sustaining programs there. You know, the fitness center and the pool is a big one. It started as a community program. That's why it was built. And it's an expensive one for sure. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to at some point become self-sufficient. But again, you know, we all as North County taxpayers get certain discounts to participate there. And it would be a good thing to keep those discounts, but it would also be a good thing to take burdens away from the taxpayer for sure.
Great, thank you. Constance, can you please answer the same question?
Yes. I see a possibility of income being generated by the pool with tourism once it's built. I think that could be a good revenue source. I also believe that there's a bit of inequity in our community of people that can afford to go to NCRD. And I know a lot of people that use NCRD can afford to pay higher prices. And I would be prone to looking at a sliding scale so that people that can afford it are paying more. People that can't afford it have an opportunity to participate with maybe scholarships. We don't really promote scholarships for people with income issues, but that's an opportunity. Yeah, I have concerns because we have the levy tax it's coming up in November again, and you know, we have to have community support to get that passed. And if our community is not 100% behind us, there's a possibility it's not going to pass. So I think getting out in the community and really having the community step up even more will make a difference.
Thank you. Erin, do you have anything you'd like to add to your original answer? You're muted.
I don't think so. I think that yeah, we just need to take I think the goal should be self-sufficiency for sure. And if that is possible, then that's great. And yeah, we should definitely continue to work in that direction.
Thank you. We may have more questions regarding NCRD at the end from the community. So we're going to move on to the Tillamook County Transportation District. We have with us Jim Heffernan, who is running for position 1 against Tea Laviolette. And we also have Thomas J. Fiorelli, who is running for position 4 against Mary Leverette. Did I do it?
Correct.
Leverette.
Leverette.
Thank you. Thank you,
good.
Mary. We'll begin introductions with Jim Heffernan, who will be given extra time since his opponent is not present. So Jim, you get 2.5 minutes. Take it away.
Oh, I'm not going to take anywhere near the 2.5 minutes. There really isn't much to say. I've lived here since 1979. I'm almost from here. I've been retired from the cheese factory after 30 years since 2009. I'm believe in public service, and I believe in the transportation board. And I'm a good study, and I've thrown myself into the transportation board, learning about it. I've ridden all the buses. I've been to all the board meetings since I've declared my candidacies. I even went to a Zoomed board meeting in Clatsop County this morning, which is a whole different thing than Tillamook, let me tell you. And I just promise that I will always listen to the community, and I'll always keep the welfare of the community and the transportation board foremost in my mind. And that's pretty much all I got.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for being here tonight.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Next, we will hear from Thomas. Thomas, you have 90 seconds to introduce yourself.
Good evening, and thank you for having this forum this evening. My name is Thomas Fiorelli. I think a lot of you, or most of the community, know me as TJ. A little bit about my background. I was born into originally a low-income family, so I learned about the bus routes at a very early age. That was in the 90s and 2000s, when we didn't have the technology yet to know exactly where that was, just right on our phones. So a missed bus has caused me to miss school, to miss work, or to miss opportunities that could have been available to me recreationally throughout my community. I moved to Tillamook County 2 years ago from the city of Eugene, where I had worked and went to college and had served my community in many capacities. And at the age of 38 here in Tillamook County, I became the first person in my family to own a home. Now, that was a very exciting opportunity for me, and I'm very thrilled to be here in this community and to be welcomed here. I ran for transit district because I understand the challenges of public transportation, particularly in rural communities. And I understand the opportunities that can be leveraged to improve services for riders. I bring the expertise that is necessary to make those challenging decisions that are most effective. I bring a master's in public administration, so I'm trained in government budgets, and I understand how to look at budgets and foresee the challenges like the ones that we know happened in Clatsop County. I bring a bachelor's in planning, so I understand land use from the perspective of the Oregon land use system. I have understood local, state, and federal policies and use them today in my role both as housing coordinator with Tillamook County, but also as a consultant who works with various organizations who implement different financial policies and address challenges throughout the community related to housing and transportation. I taught at the University of Oregon, where I worked on my doctorate. And I understood mobility as a service, as a technology that can actually help us make smarter decisions, particularly where challenges in rural communities come from further distances and more costs for us to get there. And I have deep knowledge in transit technology. I want to be here because I understand community development, and I want to help us balance our budget to make sure that our services are providing what every citizen within Tillamook County needs, and that I am there to help make sure, alongside my peers and other members of the community, that we are doing everything we can to make sure that transit improves throughout our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Last, we will hear from Mary. Mary, please go ahead. You have 90 seconds, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'm Mary Leverette, and I am a candidate for the Tillamook County Transportation District position 4. I have the time, energy, and the experience to dedicate to my community and to the transportation district. I have a master's degree in psychology and an almost 30-year career in government service, including the state of Oregon and the city of Portland, where I supervise both projects and staff. I think a word that best defines me is volunteer. And of the many volunteer opportunities that I have engaged in, I think the one that is most important to me is the 14 and a half years I spent as a hospice volunteer. I am now retired, and again, I have the time, energy, and the experience to bring to this community. The Transportation District has made great strides recently, decreasing fares, getting accessible vehicles, and adding an additional round trip to Portland. But there's so much more to do, as there always is. We have underserved areas in our county, we have limited routes, we have long waits, and scheduling can sometimes be really complicated and time-consuming. Public transportation is critically tied to our low-income residents, and 40% of Tillamook County is identified as low income and need public transportation to get to medical services, help, appointments, school, and work. I think it's time to get creative about our public transportation system. And I know that I have the time, energy, and the experience to dedicate both to my community and to the transportation district. I ask for your vote by May 16th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Our first question tonight for the Transportation District candidates will go to Thomas. And the question is, what do you believe is the role of this board as it applies to the mission of the district and the responsibility of spending taxpayer money?
Thank you, Sayde.
You have 60 seconds to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe the most important role of a board member and of the board at large is to make sound financial decisions and to advise on the challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead within those budgets. One thing that we know when we look at the Clatsop County challenges, and as a professional in public budgeting, the writing was on the wall earlier on in the annual financial reports that were within the county's budget. Those are the kinds of challenges that I can foresee and that a board member is responsible for foreseeing ahead of time. It's important also that we're making policies that are addressing those challenging decisions. If we have to make a decision about where services must go, or whether we can support our communities adjacent to us and how much we can actually do that when they don't have their budgets completely nailed down. These are challenges that we all face together as a region and as a community. As a board member, it's important to foresee those and make those responsible and smart decisions and use the resources that are available to us, including emerging and new technologies that can help make our budgets go further and provide better services to our citizens.
Thank you. Mary, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you. I don't need that, Sayde. I agree with Thomas that a board's responsibility is to maintain fiscal stability of the operations and to responsibly manage the operations, to do the research that is necessary to improve policies and services across the board and to support the employees, not as direct oversight, but to know that they are supported in the work and the dedication that they have. And I believe that a board member must be able to make and create community connections so that we are learning from others around us and that we are helping one another and that we remain responsive to our riders who are also our taxpayers and our voters.
Thank you, Mary. Thomas, do you have anything that you would like to add to your answer?
I'd like to mention that I appreciate what Mary has said about the importance of connecting with our community and engaging with stakeholders. I want to mention that as an employee and a professional of Tillamook County, I have worked with many different organizations, both private and public, to help understand what our challenges are. This includes our special districts, both north and south of the central area of the county. as well as with businesses and organizations that we know whose employees and individuals rely on those services. So I just wanted to thank Mary for that portion and mention that I've also engaged in that as well.
Thank you. Our next question will go to Mary first. And the question is, given the recent and sudden shutdown of all public transportation in Clatsop County, what steps will you take as a board member to ensure that such a situation doesn't happen here?
As a board member, I think it's a critical responsibility to understand the budgets, how the budgets are developed, and how those funds are used, and to also make sure that we are hiring the very best professionals possible to oversee daily operations, our policies, procedures, and meeting the needs of our riders. I wrote a column recently for the North Coast BBQ expressing my concern about the Sunset Empire Transportation District's closing down operations. And I am pleased that Tillamook has offered a hand or buses to Clatsop County residents, especially for those with medical needs.
Thank you, Mary. Thomas, you're welcome to answer the same question.
Thank you. I think, as I've mentioned already, the most important thing that we can be doing to prevent these kinds of disasters is to have a sound fiscal policy and individuals who have the expertise to identify what those challenges are. I've already said that, though. What I want to emphasize here is that I will listen to riders. I know that there are people who are not receiving the services that they need. And I know that there are things that we can be doing to extend those services and make them available within the budgets that we have. I want to foresee down the road what our challenges and opportunities are, longer than just a few months ahead, several months to years ahead, so that we are paving the way for the board members and the citizens of this community who are not here yet. So while I come with a foundation in financial budgeting and management, years of experience in government, as well as over $5 million raised in grant writing and fundraising as a professional, I want to say that it's most important that I take those skills and I direct them towards the people who need those services the most. Thank you.
Mary, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yes, thank you, Sayde. I understand the need to talk to riders. I think that is a critical foundation for any board members to at least know the rider experience. But I think the question was directed at how to prevent a similar crisis in transportation services that's happened in Clatsop County. And I think that means being a very responsible board member to study those budgets, to listen to the general manager, to communicate within the board, and to make sure that we are providing fiscal responsibility and we are following our policies and procedures.
Thank you. We have one final question and it will go to Thomas first. What measures would you attempt to make to help Tillamook County residents get to medical services and obligations in Clatsop County that have been cut off by the sudden shutdown of Clatsop County's public transportation?
Thank you, Sayde. I'm very glad you asked this question. I alluded earlier to the discussion about emerging technologies and how that can help us make smarter decisions. I'm an expert in GIS technology, which is geospatial planning. Both having used that in an academic setting as well as in a professional setting, I know that we can leverage those skills at a very low cost and at great impact to make sure that we understand the times of days and the places and the location analytics of who needs to go where and how much of an emergency those services are, so that we can triage, just like the medical community does, what it is that we are doing to support those people to make it to medical services on time, efficiently, and without a break. I will share that my own mother is a hospice patient, and it's very important that she is somebody who can make it to her medical care and somebody that can actually drive to her home to treat her as well. So this is something that I think is critical and that we need to make sure that we prioritize first and foremost.
Thank you. Mary, please answer the same question.
Thank you. I think the Tillamook County Transportation District has made a grand gesture, a critical gesture to Clatsop County residents to provide some services to those individuals who have critical medical needs. I also think it's time to reach out to medical providers to see if those routes could not be consolidated to maximize efficiency. But I also think that working with those private individuals who provide medical transportation to find out what their costs are, how they could be brought in to this mix will be critical. I think that there are many ways that we can go about this. I understand that technology is important, but I think humans are more important.
Thank you, Mary. Thomas, do you have anything you would like to add to your original answer? You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. Yes, human-centered technology is where I begin from, and it's the foundation from which I both address everything professionally as well as a person in this community that serves our boards and different organizations who need to make decisions. It starts with people. It is most important that it begins with people. And that's why I started with people earlier as well, when we talked about how it is that we can prioritize our services above the budget. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, our next set of candidates that we will be hearing from tonight are with Tillamook Bay Community College. So with us is Mary Jones, who is running for position 1. Mary, I just want to make sure that you are on.
I am.
Great, thank you. Mary's opponents, Jonathan Whittles and Dwayne McClintock, did not respond to their invitation to attend tonight. So we just have Mary. We also have Mary Faith Bell, who is running for position 7 against Lowton Hooley, and Lowton also did not respond to our invitation to be here tonight. Betsy, who is running for position 5, sends her regrets that she could not be here tonight, and her opponent, Tia, as we've mentioned, was also unable to be here as well. So we will start with introductions, and Mary Faith, I will let you go first, and you have 2.5 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. First, my name is Mary Faith Bell, and I'm on the TVCC board. I've been on the TVCC board for 10 years. And I just want to say, I live in North County. I live in Nehalem, and I want to say how heartening this event has been to me, to listen to folks who have been serving in our community and who want to serve in our community. So thank you to everyone who's running and who is serving, who's running for re-election. Thank you for making our community as wonderful as it is. As I said, I've been on the TVCC board for 10 years. I'm the senior board member. I'm the vice chair of the board. And I joined the TVCC board because community college changed my life. And I want that opportunity to be available to everyone in our community. And I want to continue giving back. I'm asking for your vote because I love the college. I love the mission. I love the work we do, and there's super exciting work ahead in terms of launching the nursing program and building the new healthcare education building, for which I've been appointed to the Bond Oversight Committee. As a member of the County Budget Committee and the College Budget Committee, I'm well versed in oversight of multi-million-dollar budgets, and I look forward to representing the community's interest in that work. I think it's really exciting. I'm proud that the college is doing phenomenally well, exceptionally well, in the nation. In last year, TVCC was ranked 8th in the nation among community colleges of like size for cost, education outcomes, and career outcomes. And while the board members certainly can't take all of the credit for that, we're an important part of it. I was talking to Connie Green, president emeritus of the college, who recruited me originally to the college board, and about the success of the college. And she said, you, as in the board, are instrumental in the college's success because of your stability and your commitment to the mission. And I want to wrap up by saying that I read a post on social media in response for my bid for re-election that started out, how much power does Mary Faith Bell need? And the writer went on to talk about how much power they think I have because I'm a county commissioner. And in my role as a county commissioner, I serve on a lot of boards, and they're all important. But this board I've served on longer than any of the others, twice as long as I've been a commissioner. And I'm on this board because I love it. I was dismayed that anyone actually would think that we are on the college board for power. I was momentarily dismayed. And then it reminded me that the rightful role of a board member is service. Service to the college, to the mission, to the students and staff, to education and business partners, service to the community. And I believe that servant leadership is the highest calling of a board member. And that's what I commit to you. If I'm reelected, that's what I can tell you my fellow board members bring. And so I ask for your vote for me and for my fellow board members who are running for a reelection, including those who don't have opponents because there are write-in campaigns have been launched against them. So thank you very much for your time and for your vote and for your service to our community.
Thank you, Mary Faith. Mary Jones.
Thanks, Sayde. Good evening, and thank you for inviting me to participate tonight. My name is Mary Jones, and I'm running for re-election to the Tillamook Bay Community College Board of Education, Zone 1. It's been such a great experience to serve on the college board for the past 7 years. I believe in my heart that investing in the education of our youth is one of the most important things we can do. And I found that serving on the college board is a really amazing way to give back to the community that I love. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Southwest Portland. I moved to Pacific City in 1990, and during the past 32 years, I've been involved in development and construction, as well as the founding of and continued successful operation of various businesses in Tillamook County, including Pelican Brewing Company, the Inn at Cape Kiwanda, Headlands Lodge and Spa, and a few others. I hold a contractor's license, a real estate broker's license. I'm a business person, and I'm a lifelong learner. I believe my skills and business background, along with my knowledge of what employers need from a community college, has been of real benefit. If I'm reelected, I believe I can be particularly helpful to the college in the next few years as we embark upon the building of the new health education building. My background and experience in many construction projects in Tillamook County will help in the planning and decision-making that will be necessary. I also have experience in creative problem solving, ensuring fiscal responsibility, and I will continue to listen carefully to the community to ensure that the college is providing the right courses and programs that will best serve the people and businesses in our county. I would surely appreciate the opportunity to continue serving on the Board of Education, so I sincerely hope you will vote for me so I can continue to participate in the incredible positive momentum at the college. Thank you so much in advance for your vote.
Great, thank you, Mary. Okay, our final segment tonight is on the Nehalem Bay Health District ballot measure. And we're gonna call up Marc Johnson again. And Marc, you have 90 seconds to talk to us about the health district ballot and anything that you would like the audience to know.
Thank you so much, Sayde. The bond measure that's on your ballot at the very bottom of the ballot after all of the special district elections is dedicated to creating a new era of health and senior care in North County, as well as developing a housing strategy to address the critical needs of healthcare and other essential workers in the community. Our board thinks it's absolutely essential that we maintain and improve existing facilities, that in that case, the care center in Wheeler, a 50-bed skilled nursing facility and rehabilitation center, as well as develop a new health center and pharmacy on a piece of property that the district owns at the intersection of Highway 101 and Hospital Road in Wheeler. That new health center and pharmacy would replace the outdated and too small old Reinhardt Clinic and create the opportunity for a modern, state-of-the-art local clinic that would provide adequate space for providers to undertake specialty care services in the community, including dental, perhaps other specialties like cardiology and pediatrics, as well as create a modern pharmacy to meet the needs of the community right now and far into the future. I think when we think about, and some of the conversation tonight has alluded to this, when we think about what makes for a strong and healthy community, we can say, you know, we have an excellent school system in North County. We have a great local library in our part of the county. We have an outstanding fire and rescue capability, a recreation district that we're proud of. I'm really excited, as Mary Faith mentioned, about the Tillamook Bay Community College's nursing program. And another component of a strong and healthy community is a better quality and more services in the healthcare arena for seniors, for families, and for children. And that's what the healthcare measure on the ballot is designed to try to accomplish.
Thank you, Mark. We have some questions for you. The first being, what new healthcare services will for certain be added should this ballot measure pass?
Well, we've done the schematic design of the building, which we did because we wanted to get as accurate as possible estimation of the cost of the new facility. We have designed a 3-bay dental suite into that facility. So certainly the expectation is that we will be able to develop dental services. The expansion of the square footage of a new facility will allow adequate exam rooms and staffing locations for, as I mentioned, other specialty services that will be developed as we go forward. And I believe that can include, and the community can have some input into this. What kind of services do we deem most critical? We've heard some feedback about the need for dermatology services. We've heard some feedback about the need for cardiology services. So we're going to be aggressively developing those plans going forward. We can't do it, however, if we don't have a modern facility that physically can accommodate those kinds of additional healthcare services in the community.
So follow-up question, you said that you are hearing the need for certain kinds of services. Where are you hearing those needs? How are you hearing those needs? And how could the community get involved if they wanted to express a need and share some of that?
Good question. We've heard through the town hall meetings that we've held throughout North County that there is a desire, clearly a desire for dental services in the community. I believe there's a need for physical therapy facilities or physical therapy services that we might be able to offer in an expanded facility in cooperation with the existing care center. And I believe there's an opportunity to hear from the community on a range of other services that we should try to develop. I think with an aging population, geriatric services is particularly something that we should be looking to develop in a new facility. So there will be opportunities going forward as we, if the bond measure is successful, to be very strategic about the way we develop those additional services in the community. I just want to underscore one other thing though, Sayde. Without the community's support for the bond measure, we're going to be in a very much of a status quo situation with healthcare services in the community. And particularly concerning to me is the need to upgrade and renovate the skilled nursing facility so that we don't see another long-term care facility in Tillamook County go by the wayside. We really need to make an investment in that facility.
Great, thank you. So I have another question for you. The bond discusses 80 apartments. What evidence is there that there is that level of need for these apartments, and how will it be administered to only serve healthcare workers? So talk to us a little bit about the plan for those apartments.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your question. The bond measure anticipates what?
The bond measure discusses 80 apartments.
The bond measure does not discuss 80 apartments. There would not physically be room for nearly that many in the space that is currently occupied by the old Wheeler Hospital. The plans that our architects have preliminarily considered in cooperation with the city of Wheeler would probably involve maybe 16, maybe 18 townhouse kind of type units, two bedroom and probably some studio apartments with appropriate exterior amenities, green space, place for families to have, outdoor barbecues and play areas for children and that sort of thing. Why do we think it's necessary for healthcare workers? We have between the care center and the existing health center, the old Reinhardt Clinic, we have about 80 people employed in healthcare in North Tillamook County. And virtually none of those folks live in our communities. They all commute, often very far distances to get to work. So we know from experience, unfortunate experience, that we have not been able to attract employees to those two facilities because they cannot find housing in the community. So we believe it's possible to work with a nonprofit developer to flesh out that housing plan, with the district making the contribution of the property, and we can begin to address the housing needs of healthcare workers and other essential workers in the communities, first responders, for example, who often struggle to find a place close to where they work that's suitable to live.
And a follow-up question on that. So does the bond measure include the construction of the apartments? Or
the bond measure does not include the construction of the apartments. The bond measure speaks to the site preparation, which is basically the demolition of the old Wheeler Hospital in order to make it suitable for housing development. Then the district board's strategy would be to work with a nonprofit developer, likely a nonprofit developer, to bring the financial resources and the development capability to the project. And we believe, and in fact, one of our guests tonight, TJ, has been very helpful in helping us strategize how we can approach developers that are interested in providing just this kind of housing that meets a particular need in a community, and in this case, a particular need to have suitable housing for healthcare workers and other essential workers.
Great. One last question for you, Marc. What's the timeline for completion of the medical building and the housing, should the bond measure pass?
Sure. Sayde, the expectation is if the bond measure passes on May 16th, that the bonds can be prepared for marketing probably in the August timeframe, which interestingly enough corresponds with when the congressionally directed funding that the health district has received for the project, $3 million, thanks largely to the work of Senator Merkley, will be available in the same time frame. We can put our architects to work right after the election to develop the construction drawings for the project. And we believe the permitting can be done and construction can be underway in the second quarter of 2024. The renovations of the care center, the 50-bed skilled nursing facility, can happen even more quickly than that. We have a detailed plan of what needs to be done to renovate and modernize the care center. And we believe some of those renovations, they'll have to be staged in order to do it properly and not disrupt the operation of the facility. We believe some of those renovations can certainly begin later this year.
Thank you, Marc.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time here tonight.
Very much appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Sayde.
So we have reached the end of our segments and we're going to open it up to questions. We've had some questions come in already. And so I'm going to ask those, and then after we get through some of these questions, we'll see if any of our audience has anything else they would like to add. This first question is for our TBCC candidates. So this is Mary Jones and Mary Faith Bell. And Mary Faith, I will have you answer first, but the question is, a community queer prom that's not affiliated with the college has recently been organized. Could you see a time when such an event could be hosted by the college, and would you support it? You have 60 seconds.
Thank you. Well, That's an interesting question. I personally support the queer prom. I certainly support diversity, equity, and inclusion at the college and in all of our public schools. The question, could I see it, was it supported by the college or hosted by the college? What was the question?
The question, thank you. The question is, could you see a time when such an event would be hosted by the college? And if so, would you support it?
Well, I don't know what the process for that would be. So I think the answer is that it would go through whatever the college process is for determining a public event. And if it met the criteria of the college, then certainly I would support it.
Thank you. Mary Jones, would you like to answer the same question?
Certainly. I don't think I have any differing opinion from Mary Faith. I think that a community college is all about serving the entire community with access for all. So I would think it would be incumbent upon us to support something that qualifies for an event hosted by the college.
Great, thank you. Okay, I have another question come in from the community. This one is for our Neah-Kah-Nie school board candidates. And the question is, how will you work with the challenge and perhaps conflict with other board members who may be ideologically opposed to you? So how would you work with board members who are ideologically opposed to you in order to get things accomplished for our students? Michele, let's start with you.
Thank you. I have worked with board members who are ideologically opposed to me, and I'm fortunate to work on a board that is respectful and collaborative. I'm going to credit I think the superintendent for having the Oregon School Boards Association come and give us some training this last year, which gives us real clear guidelines as to what our mission and our job is as school board members. And that was real helpful. So we don't always agree. And yet when the vote is taken, we are all on the side of whatever side secured the most votes. We don't argue or have anything to say beyond that. We support the decision that was made.
Katie, would you like to answer next? I can repeat the question too, if that's helpful.
No, thank you. I do agree that our current board is very respectful of each other and their decisions. And honestly, I think that just part of being a good, well-rounded adult is being able to coexist and communicate with people who share different ideologies. And so I think that it's just part of being an adult and being a good, rounded human being. And that's what we all hope to be. So I mean, anytime you're in the real world, you have to deal with different ideologies, and that's just what we do. So I feel very confident in being able to do that.
Marisa, would you like to answer this question?
Yes, thank you. I have a lot of experience working in dialoguing with people who have different opinions and beliefs than me. I began doing that when I was 15 and volunteered rather with a nonprofit called the National Conference for Community and Justice, and was trained to even enter like internet chat rooms where there was hate speech occurring. And I was trained in what specifically is needed linguistically to break that up. I would also say that Socratic Seminar was at least very influential, if not directly present in my classroom when I would teach. And this is all about having time to listen. And so I am a talker. I'm absolutely a chatty Cathy. And I have trained myself over the years, especially by listening to my students, to slow down and listen more and to make sure I ask, what else do you have to say? So I'd use that and then always keep a bullseye focus with my fellow board members on, is this best for students? And if we keep that, is it best for students at the heart? We're gonna do okay.
Thank you. Heidi, would you like to answer?
I would. So I would actually like to share a little bit of what everybody said. I really like how Marisa ended that with, is it best for students? Because really that's the goal. I think that mutual respect in the boardroom is incredibly important. And I do want to say that I was very impressed at the last board meeting. The board gave a great example of this. There was a vote taken. There were 3 for, 3 against, and the board chair had to make the decision. She was very clear why she was making the decision as the tie vote. It was such a great example of the public process. I was really impressed with that, and I hope I see more of it. But I think you're right, you have to listen. I think we need to have empathy. We need to find the common ground, and the student has to be at the forefront of why the decision is being made. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Okay, another question that has come in goes back to Tillamook Bay Community College board candidates, and this question is about safety. And what would you do as a board member to ensure the safety of both students and faculty, particularly as it pertains to firearms? What steps do you feel are necessary at the community college level to ensure safety of our students and our faculty? And this time we'll start with Mary Jones.
I think that gun violence is a really important issue. And I think that the college already has a very robust safety protocol, and including active shooter drills. I think that it's a real shame that we need to worry about that, but it's a really important part of our role as administrators of the college to make sure that we continue that kind of training, that we do everything that we can to avoid a tragedy such as has struck many schools. And I support any new ideas that might come forward to enhance the protocols that are necessary to keep that from happening, because no student or teacher should have to be afraid to go to the school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Mary Faith?
I agree with what Mary said, and I know that the college does active shooter trainings and participates in safety protocols. The only additional idea that I have is I'm aware of at Tillamook Family Counseling Center, they have a community training to help people understand, to help people recognize the signs for when someone you know may be suicidal, and then what to do about it. And it seems to me like active shooter situations, mass shootings, and school shootings are becoming so common in our community that we could use something like that. We could use some training about, you know, what does it look like if someone in your personal circle or in your class or in your community it is becoming unsafe? What does that look like? What might the signs be? Because I know that law enforcement has signs, and you know they've identified signs. And so if you're afraid in that way, what should you do? Who should you tell? So I think that we should seriously consider having and offering that kind of training.
Thank you. Another question for Tillamook Bay Community College, and we'll start with you this time, Mary Faith. And the question is, some programs at TVCC have called for lowering academic standards to clear a path forward for student success. Can you speak on this decision, and do you feel it ultimately helps or hurts our community?
Wow, I'm so glad to get this question because I have wanted to address this. There's a rumor in the community. I've heard my opponent talking about this, that the TVCC has lowered admission standards, and it's incorrect. It's a misunderstanding. TVCC has not lowered admission standards. The point of community college is that everyone gets in. The admission standard for community college is that everyone gets in. And the misunderstanding about this arose because several months ago, the board discussed changing the math requirements. So when somebody comes to community college, they take a placement test, determine where they're at in terms of math. So what previously happened was that there could be a whole row of remedial math courses that a person would need to take to get up to college level math. And what they found as a best practice is that if somebody had 4 or 5 remedial math classes in front of them, they very often didn't follow through. So it was just too daunting. And so what community colleges as a whole, as a best practice, have decided to do is to put people in the entry-level college math class and then surround them with all of the supports necessary to be successful. So they'll get tutors, they'll get whatever all the supports are. I don't even know what all they are. I think, but the idea is to help people get up to speed and be successful and stay the course rather than be daunted by 4 or 5 remedial math classes before they even get started at college level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Faith. Mary?
I think the only thing I might be able to add to that, I agree, it is a complete misunderstanding. But I think I could add that college level math and writing courses have uniform standards and outcomes statewide. So it's not like we could decide whether or not to lower the standards. We cannot. That's a statewide standard that we need to abide by. So I think Mary Faith is correct that we are about changing up the way that we get these students into success. So we're providing alternative forms of instruction and support, like tutoring, that kind of thing, rather than, as Mary Faith was saying, the remedial courses that those students showed us they were not interested in finishing, or was onerous on them getting far enough to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, we have a question for our North County Recreation District candidates, Erin and Constance. So this question, we will start with you, Erin. And the question is, do you feel that the current plan for the Aquatic Center serves every member of the community equally, or is there still work to do in the planning stages to make sure the entire community is served?
I think that's kind of the whole point of the new pool, is to make sure that everybody has accessibility to the building. I'm sure that there's always work to be done, though. I'm sure that there's always something that we can improve on. But that is kind of the whole reason why we're doing this, to, wider decks, all of that kind of stuff. So I think that the board, when coming up with the plan, all of that stuff was in mind. And I think they, are doing the best that they can with, whatever, the resources that they have to move forward. It's not, we don't even have the funds to build it all the way. So that's a huge thing that we're going to have to do, is come up with the funds to actually finish it. So that'll make it more accessible when it's actually done. So yeah, I think that is that's why we're building the new pool, is to make it accessible to everyone. That is the goal.
Thank you, Erin. Constance?
Yes, thank you. So about 5 years ago, we brought to the executive director at the time the possibility of a non-chemical, a lower chlorine level. for the pool, because many people, especially older people, can't swim in a chlorinated pool. And so I'm intending that as a board member, we'll really look to see what is the best avenue to ensure that we create a pool that everyone can swim in, not just the healthy, but the people that have skin conditions that cannot tolerate chlorine. So it's something that I don't want us to overlook. I think it needs to be in the forefront, and I'm confident that if we look, we'll find a way of making it happen.
Thank you. Okay, this next question is for the Neah-Kah-Nie School Board candidates. And I'm sorry, I didn't keep track of who we started with last time. I think it was Michele. So we'll start with Katie this time. And the question is, Tillamook School District number 9 recently voted to implement local rule. And while it did not pass in District 56, if given the opportunity, what position would you take on implementing local rule and why? Katie, you can go first.
I guess I don't know what local rule is. It seems like a very broad term. I think that we, of course, have to follow our guidelines that are given to us. And we have to think about what's best for our students. So I apologize for being uninformed about what local rule is, but I think that student success is always our first and foremost in all of our brains, or it should be. And, you know, the school board's job is to work within the state's guidelines and to find out how we can apply those best to our school district.
Thank you. Michele, would you like to answer this question next?
Sure, I agree with Katie, and it seems that I read a little bit about it, and my sense was that there were those on the board who took exception to the Oregon Department of Education's guidelines, one of them being that we have a diversity, equity, inclusion program in our schools, and some of the other guidelines that specify rights for all of the students in our school district, and that they took exception and therefore wanted local rule to circumvent some of those Department of Education guidelines. I don't take exception with the Department of Education guidelines. I believe they also have the students' best interests at heart. Thank you.
Heidi, would you like to answer this question? I'm happy to repeat it as well if anyone needs me to repeat the question.
Thank you. I'm good. I actually think Michele did an excellent job answering that. That's my understanding as well, that really Tillamook School District 9's vote and decision happened during the pandemic, and it was pretty specific to wanting to not follow those state guidelines. I do think the state guidelines through the ODE are put in place for a reason. I think they are well guided. I think that there are things about equity that are required. I know I've heard Michele talk about that it is a state requirement that there is some type of equity alliance in the schools. And I would support following the guidelines.
Thank you. Marisa, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, I echo everything all the other candidates have said. And I would totally like to point out that local rule would open up the district to lots of liability issues, and that would ultimately cost taxpayers money and take money away from our students' education. So I think to prevent that from becoming even an option at Neah-Kah-Nie, we can improve the outreach to the community in our discussions with families and parents and students. That's something that definitely during COVID was a struggle, but I think our district has needed some effort to be put into that for a while. That transparency and that willingness to meet with the community is something that I think our new superintendent will be a breath of fresh air and bring in. And I think we can avoid that conflict before it even begins, just by coming together and rallying around, you know, the Pirates and the Seagulls and the Wolves and the Raiders.
Great, thank you. Appreciate everyone's time answering those questions. We are going to move into closing statements from the candidates, and we will go in the same order that we opened with. So, you know, any kind of last thoughts about any of the questions that were asked tonight, or anything in particular that you are wanting the community to know about you as they get ready to make their decisions. And of course, can I find the order that we went in at the beginning? We will start with Michele Aeder for closing statements, and, you know, about 35 seconds.
Thank you, Sayde. I'd like to continue my work on the board. I'd like to welcome the new superintendent, Dr. Tyler Reed, and have a cohesive board already in place when he arrives. I'd love to see the kids graduate, many of whom I drove on the bus when they were in kindergarten. My kids grew up in this district, and I'm so pleased that they had that opportunity. I'm informed about the timber dollars that help support our district, and I'll continue with my focus on attending their meetings and providing testimony. I did see a question in the chat about drugs and alcohol in our school, and I'm happy to report that we did have Betty Ford Hazelden come into our schools, and our kids listened very attentively for an entire hour, our high school students, to what was said to them about protecting their brains at their age from alcohol, and maybe reserving that until they're adults. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Katie Wilkerson, closing statements.
I just want to say thank you for hosting this forum, and thank you for having all of us. To kind of add on to what Michele said, at the last board meeting, there was also a study done, and it seems like most of our kids are participating in some safe practices. Heidi was sitting next to me, and we had commented on how nice that was to hear. So I really think that I can be a voice for parents, for students. I think that we need to keep extracurriculars in our school, and that includes music and sports and clubs. And I think that I can really help be an advocate for those. And also, because I'm running out of time, I'm just going to throw in that our baseball team is so far undefeated for our league for high school, and we have a game on Monday and a game on Tuesday. So come on out and support our Pirates. Tuesday will be senior night, and we have 10 seniors that are graduating this year on our baseball team. So go Pirates.
Thank you. Marisa, closing statements.
Yeah, I think something that I would bring that would broaden the board is my experience as a teacher, and specifically as a teacher at Neah-Kah-Nie and the connections I have with staff there. Sometimes teachers don't always feel comfortable fully voicing concerns because they're employed, and sometimes they're worried about their job. And so I think with the relationships I already have established with many staff members, I could be a conduit. My least experience is in the realm of the fiscal responsibility. I've been in charge of the English department budget before, but nothing major and huge. But I do want to point out that we have more than half of our board is very fiscally minded and experienced. And so I don't think we're lacking in that area. I would soak up knowledge from them to know more. But I feel like I bring a very needed perspective to get us to the next stage of where we can be. And so I really hope to get to do that. And if you want to meet me in person, I will be at the Rockaway Roastery on Thursday, May 11th from 10 to 11 a.m. and 5 to 6 p.m.
Thank you, Marisa. Heidi?
Well, first of all, thank you for hosting this tonight. This has been a good experience, and I appreciate that a lot. So I think that I can bring several different things to the board, and one of which is a parent that's really been through 3 different schools in the district. So I feel like I have a good experience with the administration and all of the buildings and kind of seeing how it goes. There have been a lot of questions that have come my way, how I feel about different issues. And it's nice because I feel like I have that experience to draw from that I can really talk about. When my daughter was in middle school, it was like this, it was like that. That's been helpful to me in this campaign. And I also, it's really, really important that we onboard this superintendent well. I mean, the superintendent and the board help set the tone for everything. And it's just so important that we bring him in a way that he gets to know the community. He understands the staff and the needs. And I see the red card. So thank you all for letting me be here tonight.
Thank you, Heidi. Okay, moving on, Marc Johnson, if you would like to give a closing statement.
Thank you so much, Sayde. The Health District is offering a plan that is not a status quo plan. It is really an opportunity to move into a new era of health and senior care in the North County area, and also begin the process of addressing at least a share of the critical housing needs in the community. I strongly support the bond measure that's on the ballot, as do many, many people in the community. You could look at nehalemhealthcare.com for a list of all the supporters. I hope our community embraces this opportunity because it is really once in a generation opportunity to improve health and senior care in our community. I also hope that you'll trust me with the responsibility of implementing that plan effectively, efficiently, and always with the community's best interest at the forefront. It's been a pleasure to be associated with a great group of candidates tonight, all of whom are volunteers, devoting their time and energy to trying to give back to their communities and improve life here on the North Coast. It's a noble calling. Thanks.
Thank you, Marc. Constance, would you like to give a closing statement?
I would, thank you. Again, I've been a constant supporter of NCRD since I was recruited onto the NCRD, Friends of NCRD board back in 2008. Although I'm not a parent, well, I'm a parent, my kids have long grown up. I believe all children are our children. And I am committed that NCRD be available, have programs and projects available for them. Right now, we have nothing for our teens and tweens since taking out the skate park. We've got to bring something back for them, especially with the drug problem that's going on. We need to find sources for our teens and tweens. I ask you to vote for me. I'll shake things up on the board. We've been asleep. And I will be the one that makes NCRD be great for everybody, be better than we know it to be. Please vote for me. Thank you.
Erin, would you like to give a closing statement?
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, I have kids growing up and going through all of the services that NCRD provides. I would like to see more for the youth. I want to see a lot more for our working families. The families around here that own businesses, keep those businesses running, they need more support. And I think that the board, as of right now, is severely lacking in family representation. So I think that's the reason why I wanted to run. I think it's really important, and I'm very, very invested in making sure that these programs continue and get better and multiply. And I think it's great that the new pool is going in, and I would like to shepherd that along as well, because it's going to be a battle to get that the funding to finish it. And I do think that I am the right person to be on the board to give that perspective of working families in our area. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Heffernan, is there anything you would like to add tonight? Jim, are you with us still?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just trying to start my video. The host has stopped it.
Oh,
Okay.
have we?
But I'm nothing to see. Don't worry about it. I just want to reaffirm that I make a promise to serve the transportation board the best I can, and I think I can do a very good job at it. And I'm just glad I'm not running against Mary or TJ. But that's all I have. Thank you, and thanks for having this, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jim. All right, Thomas, would you like to give a closing statement?
Thank you, Sayde. So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. The opportunity to talk about what it is we all want to bring to these positions is an incredible calling. And I think that all of us are going to do well, whether we're selected or not, within our communities to help serve the people in our communities. I believe I'm the best person for this position. I'm a systems thinker. I understand how to link transit and housing so where people are and where they need to go. Worked with TriMet, I worked with LTD. I've raised money, I've helped solve strategic problems, and I've published research. I've done a lot of things that I think can support this board. And most importantly, I've worked with people. I know how to listen, I know how to collaborate, and I know how to compromise. It's one of the most important things that we can do. So whoever is selected for this position, the most important thing I think that we can hope for is a holistic and happy and wholesome community moving forward. Thank you for this opportunity tonight.
Great, thank you. Mary, do you have a closing statement for us tonight?
Yes, Sadie, thank you so much. I just want to restate that I'm very committed to public service in my community. I have the time, the energy, the knowledge, and the experience to provide a reasonable base for the board that has made great strides and that is ready to become a bit more creative and responsible in responding to riders who are also taxpayers and voters. And I would ask for your vote. I realize that you've got two candidates with differing personalities and strengths, but I would ask for your vote because I do have the time and the career and educational experience to bring to the board, and I am committed to the Tillamook County Transportation District. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Mary Jones, would you like to make a closing statement?
Thank you, Sadie. And thank you to everyone who's been part of this candidate forum. It's a really exciting time for the college and for Tillamook County. I am so looking forward to the realization of the new healthcare education building, along with a robust and state-of-the-art nursing program for Tillamook County. I ask for your vote, not just for me and the other incumbent board members up for re-election, who are Mary Faith Bell, Betsy McMahon, Andrea Goss, and Shannon Hoff, so that we can continue the great momentum at the college. We are an experienced and successful Board of Education. I'm really hoping to continue to be a part of the great work and success happening at the college. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Mary Faith?
Sadie, I want to thank you for an outstanding job, and thanks to MooVoter and to the Tillamook County Pioneer. And thanks to all of my fellow candidates here for your hearts to serve our community. I was thinking about, I have some fabulous friends who moved to Nehalem 40 years ago and started institutions that we all know and love now. And I was thinking about how much people who want to be of service contribute to a community. And I'm just deeply grateful to all of you who want to be of service. I thank you in advance for your votes, and I thank you for voting for everyone on our board. We really do have an outstanding board, so thanks.
Great, thank you, Mary Faith. Thank you to all of our candidates for attending tonight, and for those community members in the audience. I do want to say, I know we did not get to every single question that was posed in the chat. We were a little short on moderators and we're working out some technical difficulties. And I want to thank every single one of you personally for being our guinea pigs for this style of forum. I think it went really well, and I just know that we are saving those questions that we didn't get to in the chat, and we will ask them at the next forum. So before we go, just some information for the audience. The recording of this meeting will be available online. It will be shared across social media as well as at the Tillamook County Pioneers website. So look for that. There will be another opportunity to hear from North County candidates on May 13th at 10 a.m. And if you would like a link to that Zoom meeting, you can either search for the event on Facebook, you can search for MooVoter on Facebook, and you can also find a link at tillamookcountypioneer.net. So with that, again, thank you so much for your time tonight. Thank you for your patience. It's always a little tricky to moderate how long these things will take and how much time to give to question and answer and questions from the audience. So we're actually going to end a little bit early, which could be the first time in history that that's ever happened. So thank you all for attending, and have a great night. We hope to see you at another forum.